Hi there. Name is Mavis, your friendly neighborhood veteran. It's been a while since the last episode of Tiny Bunny, hasn't it? I'm just here to give you all a warning. If you're not 18 years old or above, I would not recommend watching this. Particularly, there are some certain scenes in this episode of Tiny Bunny that could very well leave you psychologically scarred. I'm warning you ahead of time. I'm being so absolutely serious. If I feel as I'm editing this video as we speak that I don't think you guys should be watching this, I'll probably cut it out. But I will see you guys up ahead and give you all a warning before we start. So hit that like and subscribe button, and I will see you all ahead. And wait. Biasha joined us at the table, gnawing anxiously on his lower lip.
Тосик, ты почти в этом сраном лесу живешь. Вчера ничего странного не видел, да?
I replied with a complete lie.
Нет.
Я тоже. Повезло, что классуха моим родакам нажаловалась из-за оценок. Вот меня и не выпустили вечером на репетицию. А то на месте Катьки оказались бы мы.
Biasha scratched at his Adam's apple.
Это... Я что сказать хотел, да? Я кое-что слышал. Этим утром я, как обычно, в школу шел. Вдруг слышу плач за деревьями. Девчатей. Сечетина. Ну, я про Катьку-то не знал тогда. Да и знал бы, стрёмно оно, братки. Утро у нас не лучше ноти. Темно, как в злобе. Вдруг это Катька была, а? А главное, вместе таком паршивом в буреломе, что неподалеку от кладбища.
Хорош пургу гнать.
Да зуб даю на! Сам слышал!
А вы уверены, что Катя действительно пропала?
Вон, Лилия Павловна, Катькина матушка, даже на работу не пришла.
Слетела контрольная она! Как пить дать, пацаны, эта Катька в тайге стонала! А значит, и до нее маньячела добрался!
I remembered Katya. She was both beautiful and mean. The first girl in our class with a maturing body, to the envy of all the other girls. The main source of gossip, a snake, and a bitch. Biasha started counting with his fingers.
Сенечка, Вова, Семен, Катя. 4 человека, да.
Ramka slammed his hands on the desk.
Так, пацаны, отныне смотреть в оба. Далеко друг от друга не отходим, как в дурацких ужастиках. На остальных мне плевать, но вас я в обиду не дам. Как и Полинку.
I hope your relationship works out. I had already forgotten that I was ever into Paulina. The only girl occupying my thoughts after last night was Alyssa. The boys went to the cafeteria, and I was left alone, scribbling in my notebook, drawing rows of pines and 2 small figures, flying between the treetops in the full moon. Shivers ran up to my shoulders, sneaking playfully under the hem of my shirt. Even though soaring through the sky felt so simple, there was still something evil weighing me down. Was it the stolen signet ring, or the heavy look those missing kids from the notice board were giving me? The culprit was definitely still in the village. They were hiding something horrible under a mask of piousness.
Рисуешь?
Embarrassed, I covered the notebook as if there was something shameful about the figures above the forest.
Да ничего, так, дурака валяю.
Paulina put her elbows on the desk. I had already forgotten how light and graceful she was, just like a violin. I wish she could also jump around with us after stripping away her mask of fake mundanity. I smiled, imagining Paulina's skirt flapping in the wind, the stars sparkling all around us, her asking in bewilderment whether it was all a dream, and myself telling her that it doesn't matter. Paulina's expression grew dark again.
Уже слышал про Катю?
Ужасно.
Да. Ужасно еще и то, что Катю мне жалеть сложно. Я правда ищу в себе сострадание, но вспоминаю ее поступки и...
Paulina shook her head.
Я чудовище, да?
No, I thought. You're one of the most beautiful girls I've ever met. But alas, you're only number 2 on that list. I decided not to say that out loud.
Плохо, наверное, что исчезновение анкеты расстроило меня больше, чем пропажа одноклассницы.
My nostrils picked up the smell of candy, tree resin, and fireworks.
Ты потеряла анкету?
Да, и кто-то сейчас читает чужие секреты.
Yes, the forest, I thought, imagining the crooked branches turning notebook pages, touching the childish handwriting with their icy twigs.
Надеюсь, ее найдут.
I was unsure whether she spoke about Katya or her notebook. I wanted to ask her about it, but then I noticed Paulina's intense stare directed at me.
Что?
Ты будто изменился.
I smothered my hair flat, surprised.
Просто не выспался.
Сегодня ты точно какая-то другая мелодия. Очень древняя, таинственная.
I thought about the flute's melody, streaming between the bushy treetops.
Надеюсь, ты никому не рассказал про наш вчерашний разговор?
Что ты?
She nodded as if acknowledging that she can fully trust me. I was unsure whether I merited such trust.
А может, погуляем после уроков? Дедушка чувствует себя лучше. Я могу задержаться вечером.
Her hair cascaded down around her shoulders. The smell was so wonderful that it sent me flying toward the glowing stars of my inner cosmos without any magic.
Почему бы и нет? Давай.
Тогда после алгебры на заднем дворе.
She leaned forward and looked at me with her piercing eyes again, then mumbled, as if guessing.
Что-то из мусорского? Нет, пожалуй.
Then she left. Then Ramka appeared in the doorway in her place. He plopped on the seat next to me and started whispering in my ear.
Ты с ней говорил?
Biasha walked toward us, but Ramka stopped him with an angry glare.
Беш, отвали на пару минут.
Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh god. My boy, you're my boy. Biasha curled his lips in frustration and disappeared from the classroom. Ramka returned his attention to me.
Ну, говорил или нет? Она что-то сказала про меня?
I could barely stop myself from flashing a sad, desperate smile. Ramka, the leader of Team Voltron, was in love, madly in love. His gaze bulled with hope, pleas, worries. He looked like a pure, naive boy that shielded himself from the world with sports, delinquency, and coldness. Could I really betray him in this moment of weakness? Could I make the right choice in a situation where nothing is right? I fake coughed before speaking.
Она спрашивала, где ты будешь после уроков.
Oh, fuck. Why? Just tell the man. Fuck. His face the next moment was worth the effort of telling this lie. Ramko was beaming with happiness.
А ты что?
Сказал, что ты будешь на заднем дворе.
Ramka licked his lips in excitement. He grabbed my wrist so hard I thought it would break.
Ну, Тоха! Ну, спасибо, друг! Погнали скорее готовиться! Ща мы закатим такую шоу-программу, что прям ого-го!
He left the classroom to join the grouchy Biasha, and I was left alone to stare blankly at Paulina's empty seat. I just traded one friendship for another. Let's just hope I made the right choice. The bell's echo wandered aimlessly in the school's darkest corners. I flew into the yard with my coat still half zipped. The weather forecast didn't lie about the coming blizzard. The leaden cloud was coming at us from the north. A mighty roar bubbled inside of it. The other kids stood with their back to the wind and laughed when the gusts pushed them around the skating rink. The blizzard carried that laughter into the violet unknown. Ronka rushed away as soon as he noticed me in the tiny school backyard that was usually empty.
Готов? Точно не сдрейфишь? Второго шанса не будет.
I wasn't ready. At all. My stomach stung. It wanted me to get out of here, to bail out from this stupid idea that was destined to fail from the very beginning. But I couldn't abandon Ramka halfway through purely on principle. He, in the meantime, was hurriedly counting our inventory with his ink-stained fingers.
Букет есть. Маньяк присутствует. Чё там еще?
А что с моим образом?
Oh, what the hell? I don't know what's happening. No, don't exit! No! Continue.
Маска.
Да не гони, Тоха! Надень ту зайчью, что с собой по жизни таскаешь. Только резче! Нельзя, чтобы Полина нас видела вместе.
I looked at Ramka with distrust, but my fingers already found the slider on the backpack zipper and tugged at it in anticipation. Instead of getting surprised, I felt relief when I took out my real face. With it came calmness. The pain in my stomach subsided. I instantly remembered the feeling of flight, weightlessness, and joy. Ramka's problem seemed so yawn-inducing and insignificant now.
Давай, как репетировали. Только она появится.
Я прегражу ей дорогу.
Ага, а я из-за тех кустов такой бац! И на выручку. Только веди себя посмелее, Тошек. Чтоб как взаправду.
Я постараюсь себя не сдерживать.
This simple piece of cardboard and fur carried enough energy to compete with the blizzard's fury. I put my real face on top of my glasses. Gleeful. I fixed it so my eyes would look right through the slits. Ramka disappeared. And instead, Paulina walked out from around the corner, looking around warily. She had her trusty violin case with her. Fresh snow squeaked under her boots. Clouds devoured the sun, and the coming darkness turned me into a long-eared silhouette. After looking at me with suspicion, Paulina started circling around the yard. She didn't recognize me. I stepped in front of Paulina, not at all worried about my height or my clothes could give away my identity.
Ты случаем не потерялась, деточка?
She frowned and stepped back toward the bushes. Ramka immediately appeared out of them, swearing. He moved sideways in an awkward manner like a crab, while still hiding his hand that was holding the flowers behind his back.
Эй, садись, проклятый! Пока я здесь, никто не обидит эту девушку. Понял? Ты!
I couldn't help but cringe and rolled my eyes under the mask. Ramka's voice sounded fake and totally idiotic. He was way more believable during our rehearsal. I paid it no mind and brazenly grabbed Paulina by the collar, pulling her closer. My fingers ran across her silky bangs.
Ой!
Paulina let out an angry shriek, but that only made me smirk. I was overflowing with permissiveness and impunity. I intended to push Paulina to the ground and grope her so hard I'd leave bruises, until the babbling Ramka acquires proper acting skills.
Говорю, не тронь!
I didn't listen and just kept on going, drunk on my power, on Ramka's confusion that stopped him from doing anything but mumbling silently to himself. And I could do anything under the guise of the bunny.
Прояви терпение, Рохля.
Сейчас закончу с девчонкой и обязательно возьмусь за тебя.
Ramka's eyes widened in surprise. I could tell he tried to keep his cool and stay true to his role for a moment. But before this amateur superhero could do anything, Paulina intervened.
Так, что тут происходит?
Oh shit.
Пятифан, ты уберешь своего дружка?
Oh! Oh my god! Oh my god. Hold on. Paulina swung her case and hit me so hard I immediately sobered up.
Я же... Он мне...
Думаете, я вчера на свет появилась? Бяша, небось? Или...
She looked at me as if her eyes could pierce the cardboard mask. Even under the dim light around us, I could see her indignant face redden.
Антон? Вот не думала, что ты такой.
I started mumbling, looking for an excuse, in vain hopes that Ramka would be the first to explain everything. But that failure of an actor just stared at a snow pile, his face red as beet from embarrassment. Planning such a big show and screwing up even bigger. Paulina watched us with her fists clutched before she suddenly shouted.
Клоуны!
Her loud verdict still ricocheted off the school walls, like a trapped dove, when Paulina broke into a run and on the snow-covered asphalt. Her shadow waved like the hem of a dress and disappeared around the corner. Ramka hanged his head in shame. A battered bouquet plopped down in the gray muddle of wet snow.
Это фиаско, братан.
I took off the mask from my sweaty face. The wind cooled my skin. It felt like, along with the mask, I took off a layer of intrusive thoughts and emotions. Ramka screeched with his teeth, staring down at his feet. Lost and depressed, he couldn't counter fate's punches, unlike me. I knew how terrible he felt. He was ready to crush everything around him, or bang his head against the concrete. He was ready to do anything but ask Paulina to come back. He was strong and brave, but his fear of showing any weakness impeded him greatly. A possible resolution flashed in my mind. I placed my hand on Ramka's shoulder.
Жди.
I sprinted across the schoolyard trying to catch up to Paulina. An echo followed my footsteps. The girl's violin case swayed like a tail of an annoyed cat.
Полин!
She slowed down, but didn't turn around.
Ну, Полин!
I could finally see her pretty profile.
Чего?
I caught up to her and carefully grabbed her by the elbow. She didn't yank it away. It was a good sign.
Ты все неправильно поняла.
Paulina brushed a lock of hair off her face. I thought that she probably stole that move from one of Sharon Stone's movies. Her voice was still strict.
Что тут понимать-то? Ромка спланировал геройский поступок. В кавычках, конечно. А ты вызвался быть шутом, от которого он меня защитит. Еще и маску где-то нашел. Гадкую такую.
I wanted to shout, "It's not ugly at all," but said something completely different instead.
А вот и не поняла. Ты Ромке очень нравишься.
Curiosity flashed in her eyes. I wanted to hug Paulina, steal her, and lead her into the forest. I wanted to introduce her to my new friends. I wanted the flute to sing. Paulina would have surely liked its melody. I wanted us to jump high in the sky, above the clouds. There, under the stars that are pinned to the night sky, I would tell Paulina how much I needed her. That she's like water, and I'm dying from thirst.
Я думала, я тебе нравлюсь.
I played dumb.
Мне?
Paulina fought out of my clutches, annoyed.
Все ясно.
Да постой же, нравишься! Ты всем нравишься! Но Ромка, он особенный.
Особенный лжец.
Он целеустремленный и на самом деле серьезнее, чем кажется. Помнишь, ты говорила о побеге? С ним бы ты точно сбежала. В какой-нибудь большой сверкающий город. Да куда угодно. Он обещал защищать тебя.
Paulina stared into the darkness outside the school's boundaries. There was only the wind and the swirling snow.
И что теперь прикажешь? От его обещаний детей рожать?
Для начала узнать поближе, дать ему шанс. Шутки шутками, а настоящий маньяк еще на свободе. Позволь Ромке проводить тебя сегодня.
I forced myself to speak, but my lips went numb and my face turned to stone. I was afraid that my voice would give away my true feelings. Words were like razors that cut my chest and my windpipe before scattering out of my mouth. Paulina stayed silent for what felt like an eternity and beyond. She snored angrily and tapped her fingers on the black violin case. Finally, she sighed and spoke.
Передай своему Ромке, что я жду у школьных ворот. Но чтоб не думал себе всякое.
I feigned happiness. I could fake emotions if need be.
Ты не пожалеешь.
I slowly shuffled my way around the corner, my eyes shut tight and my heart beating like a hammer that drove nails deep into my soul. Romka sat in a squatting position, ruffling his short hair.
Она ждет тебя у ворот.
I was awarded with the amazed look on my buddy's face. He sprang up, choking on words. Total opposite of the shut-off silent leader that I met just last week.
Тош, ты спас меня! Братан, да я теперь твой должник на века! Хочешь, я тебе тетрис подгоню? А хочешь, научу рукопашным приемам? Или...
I only had one dream. To be left alone. So I could watch the forest sway in the wind in complete silence. So I could breathe in the frosty smell through the old mask.
Иди уже.
I hope that when it comes to Alyssa, I won't need to choose between friendship and my feelings. I have no one left apart from her. Well, maybe also Oya. But of course, she was my only ray of light in this pitch-black taiga. How could I forget about my little sister?
Я знаю, чего я хочу.
Romka, who already started walking, stopped and looked at me.
Я хочу оказаться вместе с сестрой в Диснейленде.
My buddy smirked and pulled his hat to the back of his head.
И что ты предлагаешь? Сберкассу обнести?
Нет, надо просто поймать маньяка. Того, кто в ответе за все эти похищения. И получить обещанную награду в милиции.
Romka winced and hid his hands in the pockets of his pants.
Думаешь, тебе этот лейтенант что-то за сотрудничество отстегнет? Подарит максимум часы командирские и будь здоров.
I got tired of arguing with Romka.
Ты поможешь мне? Да или нет?
Я сказал уже, мы команда. Куда ты, туда и я.
Хорошо. Теперь понять бы, с чего начинать.
Слушай, Бяша говорил, что слышал плач в буреломе за кладбищем. Готов поспорить, это была Катька.
I tensed up like a guitar string. Katya was a step toward Simeon, and he was a step toward Vova. We'll help the police arrest that accursed killer, and our village would stop living in fear. And then adults will lift the restrictions that prohibit Oya from going outside. and I'd finally be able to teach her how to jump to the sky with her new friends.
Как тогда будем действовать?
Так сразу не скажу, да и время поджимает. Давай пересечемся у дома Полины через час. Нет, лучше через 1,5. Знаешь, где она живет?
I remember the house number I sneakily looked up in Paulina's questionnaire.
Думаю, найду.
Отлично, мне пора.
And Ramka sped off, leaving me alone to try and calm down my galloping heart. Maybe now, when I have Ramka's support, this nightmare will finally end. Biasha, who was chewing on some sunflower seeds, grimaced as soon as I approached him.
Смотрите-ка! Тьфу, бросили меня тут на. И срулили вдвоем. Голубки. А еще она командовать трона называется. Тьфу.
Biasha gave me a morose look and turned away. For a minute, I pondered whether Biasha could help us search for Katya, but what if Ramka's crony will only ruin everything?
Ну, Биаш, не обижайся. Ромка голову совсем потерял. Ты уж не злись на него сильно. А про тебя я помню. Вот, держи от меня подарок.
I handed my improved sketch of Voltron, a giant transformer robot made out of 5 smaller lion robots, to Biasha.
Ничего себе! Это мне на! Спасибо, Антоха! Уважил!
Ты чего уж там? Через 1,5 часа встречаемся у Полининого дома. Намечается срочное дело.
Biasha's face became pink from happiness.
Чем будем заниматься?
I showed him a sad smile while calculating our chances.
Постараемся не пропасть без вести.
After the longest 1.5 hours of my life, I felt like my brain was put into a blender and ground into gray mush. Anxious thoughts overlapped in my head. Katya, who went missing. The forest. The serial killer. The crypts. The graves. The crosses. Biasha crawled out of the early twilight, a block away from the place we agreed to meet at.
Чего унылый такой, на? Свежих анекдотов нет?
Right now, I was happy to see even his ugly mug.
Вся банда в сборе.
Bringing up Ramka's date was clearly unnecessary. I could tell it went wonderful by the wide grin on his face. Ramka ran me jokingly in the side.
Ну айда, джентльмены!
Этот счастливый, тот несчастный. Фиг вас поймет, на.
А ты лишний раз, Беш, не думай. А то, глядишь, последняя извилина узлом закрутится.
At the same time, the village folk cooked dinners inside their homes, watched their TVs, fought over silly things. Grim-faced men smoked on their porches. Well rollers creaked. The blizzard arched around the village. But it wasn't the blizzard that worried or scared me. The forest grew in front of our faces, and I wasn't sure if we entered it or it just devoured us with its toothy maw. Pines creaked and long shadows stretched from the taiga. They bit their trunks on both sides of the road. None of us spoke a single word when we stepped into the windbreak. Pale fog streamed above the ravines, its tail swirling in a ghostly dance. The nauseous smell of church candle wax around us muddled my mind. The snow slurped, giving way under the soles of my shoes. Bumps all around us reminded me of funeral mounds, with twisted wilting trees acting as crosses. Darkness wailed and bubbled from underneath the frozen swamps, The wind howled in anger. Keeping track of time became meaningless. At some point, we stopped before a pile of windfall.
Значит так. Поисковая операция начинается. Далеко не разбредаемся, ищем любые следы Кати или похитителя. И желательно, пацаны, поживее! Уже через час станет темно, хоть глаз выколи.
We started carefully wading through fallen trees, in vain hope of finding at least something.
Хрена лысого мы в таких потемках найдем. Давайте уже лучше по домам. Опачки, чё тут у нас? А мне сегодня фартит. Братва! Я, кажется, нашел! Это ж Каткин кошелек!
And then I heard a stifled scream. I had no idea who produced it. Was it Biasha, Ramka, or me? Oh fuck, I got him killed. Then I finally saw it with my own eyes, but I still couldn't believe them. Biasha, his hair completely white, stumbled away in horror before eventually plopping into a snow pile. I looked at his outstretched hand that pointed at the void. His fingers shook like crazy. Biasha jumped up as if something bit him and fled. Ramka didn't even glance his way. He kept staring in front of himself, without blinking, without breathing. I didn't even notice how my legs started carrying me towards something indescribably horrific. With an indecisive motion, I pulled away the veil of fluffy evergreen. A small clearing that was once burnt out with a precise lightning strike showed itself from behind the spruces. A circle of blackened tree stumps. And inside it, the black garage. Its smooth walls painted black. It seemed like they absorbed darkness itself. It felt like the garage wasn't just a metal box that could be easily moved from one place to another. It was alive. An insect with a black glossy carapace, a gluttonous carrion. We kept staring at it, while it watched us carefully with its single red blinking eye. I tried to persuade myself that it was just a light bulb. The low hum produced by an electric generator sounded menacing.
Открыто.
I tried swallowing. My mouth was dry as a desert. The garage's doors were open. Darkness swirled inside of it. I felt someone's touch. Ramka put his palm on my shoulder.
Пойдем?
Looked far older than his real age. Actually, he looked like a decrepit old man.
Куда? Ты что, сбрендил? Давай предупредим лейтенанта Тихонова.
Ramka spat at his feet.
Не будь ты таким наивным, Тоха. Твой Тихонов вон даже варежку в лесу отыскать не смог. Ха-ха. Да и западло с ментом сотрудничать. Особенно, когда я у него на учете состою.
The delinquent brandished his trademark knife and looked at me.
Маньяк наверняка вернулся туда, в свое логово. Если получится, возьмем его тепленьким, пока он не ждет. Иначе в следующий раз подкараулит уже он.
The animal kid said he was just a man from the village. But can we beat him by ourselves?
Второго шанса может не быть, брат. Так что решайся.
Let's get him! We finally arrived. Hi. This is the part where things... how can I say this without spoiling it? Where things get really bad. I'm not sugarcoating this. If you would like to skip over this part, I will be happy to put a link somewhere for a video where you can skip the entire scene. But other than that, if you're still here, more power to you. this can get a little hectic. Really hectic. I was completely caught off guard. I thought I was the good guy. Man, I don't know how I can say anything else without spoiling the story. You might end up hating the creators over this. I'm not sure. Nobody deserves this, but well, if you're still here, you were warned. I told you. You've been warned. We got closer to the building. The metal box was completely silent, apart from the generator's hum. Romka knocked on the gate with his knuckles, as if to make sure it's not going to turn into a predatory maw. With newfound confidence, he opened the gate wider and started feeling around the wall, looking for the light switch.
Тоха, помоги-ка мне.
It turned out to be an ordinary garage on the inside. Tool shelves on both sides, canisters, rags, and a covered car. No serial killers, no murder victims. I even chuckled in relief. Similar emotions could be read from my companion's face. Romka entered the garage and went clockwise around the car. He rummaged through the dusty shelves, then looked at me. I got brave enough to set one foot inside the garage. Darkness was plastered all over its corners like a spider web, but if there ever was a spider here, it left its nest a long time ago. Several limbs, mounds of ground meat and heads plastered with meat flies. I'll see all of it that inside this box. Just like in a nightmare, a scary version of the Field of Wonders, where the host pulls out puss oozing prizes out of a black box. In reality, the box was empty. Even if there was something inside, it was probably taken out at some point. Why does this look so much like an altar? As in the garage is a church, and if these here are the attributes of an inhuman tiger religion. I don't want to look at the icons of that beastly faith, ancient scriptures and iron relics. No, it's just a pile of junk. Nobody is worshipped here. Shrines like these don't exist. And there's some wax on the tabletop because they often have blackouts and the owner works in candlelight. Rusty tools that look like steel fangs inside the jaws of this icy place or like torture tools of a medieval executioner. The moment you touch these, a wound will bloom on your finger, and the resulting cut will get infected from the rust and the dried fat, and you'll rot away alive. There's also something scarlet on those pincers. I need to go and check. Paint. It's just paint. The surrounding dim light couldn't reach there. Anything could be hidden in the dark. What if someone is watching me from there, hiding behind silvery webs? Let me stand on my tiptoes. No, nothing, just dust and old junk. What did it grip? What crunched under the pressure of its metal maws? What poured down on the workbench from the ripping flesh? Its cast iron parts crumbled from continued use. But it was just a normal metalwork vise. We had one just like this in our shop classroom. A vise for metal parts, not for victims. Drops of oil, not blood. It's a car. What else can it be? Just a car covered with a tarp. There's nobody inside of it. No dead, no living. The stench of dried up blood. It's all in my head. The thing under the cover smells like machine oil. Nothing more.
Ржавый хлам. Оказывается, это место капец какое унылое. Какому такому мудаку пришла в голову идея перевозить гараж с места на место? Пошли отсюда.
Ага. Давай догоним Бяшу. Ему крепко досталось.
I went out into the snowfall. Romka was also stomping toward the exit when he suddenly stopped and stared at the car.
Слушай, а что это мы с пустыми руками будем возвращаться? Дай-ка я хоть магнитолу скручу. Обожди минуту, я мигом.
Oh shit. Somebody sniffled from under the cover. I almost plopped into a snow pile from surprise.
Ты слышал? Она там.
I watched my friend tugging at the cloth, but I couldn't muster the strength to rush to his aid. My legs froze into the ground. Still, Romka managed even without me. The cover he slashed with his knife flew to the side. There was no car underneath it. Instead, as if growing out of the floor, there stood a huge meat grinder, sparkling with its well-oiled parts. I saw one just like this in Under 16 and Beyond. Under 16 and Beyond, a Soviet and Russian TV program covering the problems of 90s youth, homelessness, the rock movement, substance abuse, troubles in familiar relationships, and lack of healthy hobbies. An industrial giant that factories use to grind cow carcasses when making sausage. Inside its bowl, which reminded me of the bloodthirsty maws of a Venus trap, sat a tied-up Katya. She looked like she just snapped out of a daydream, and her eyes rounded in horror. The gag in Katya's mouth prevented her from doing anything but moaning and sniffling.
Скорее сюда!
I threw off my stupor like a heavy tarp and rushed inside the garage. In the meantime, Romka almost managed to climb the steel death machine. He grabbed Katya under her shoulders and... he must have pressed some sort of button with his knee. The mechanism started rumbling like an empty stomach. Romka realized what he had done, so he screamed.
Черт, выключи ее! Я сейчас, держись!
It's no use! Not a single damn button or switch helped in stomping his horrible, screeching wheels.
Не работает! Ни хрена не помогает! Да помоги мне!
We bent toward Katya and tried to pull her out by the elbow. The spirals on the button got to work. They slowly winded up, gathering more and more speed with every turn. Then came the crunching sound, like that of a flame eating away at firewood. Rescue! No! Oh fuck! Katya wailed through the gag, but the grinder didn't let go. It just started to feast. I screamed when I saw Katya's squashed legs getting wrapped around the grinder blades. They looked like a pair of tattered stockings now. Her bones pierced the skin and poked out like pointy twigs. A white kneecap floated around in the crimson syrup. I was trying to pull Katya out, but I could tell I was losing. Oh god. No. Come on! Damn! The blaze crushed her pelvis. The bloody gravel bubbled up. Katya kept wailing, holding the same maddening routine note. Her eyes bloodshot from all the burst blood vessels popped out their sockets. The blade reached for her stomach. It scooped up the glaucous tubes of intestines with ease. Just like Oya wrapped spaghetti around a fork, the stench of entrails spread through the garage. I stopped trying to help Katya. She was clearly too far gone already. The girl's head dangled helplessly. Her murky eyes stared into space. The meat grinder chewed through Katya's ribcage and devoured her barely formed breast. Her face darkened due to her rising blood pressure. Scarlet streams ran from her eyes and ears. Katya was dead, but the machine had no intention of stopping. Her hair got tangled in blades and the scalp got separated from Katya's skull with a loud smacking sound. The skin on her face slid down. The death grimace made me stagger away. I put a pair of hands on my body and I thought I was about to get thrown into the bowl as dessert. I was about to become a part of the same mincemeat mass as Katya. But it was Romka dragging me away. From the mechanism's metal trunk, a thick blood-filled sausage with hair and bones mixed in plopped into the tray.
Мы сделали все, что могли. Надо убираться отсюда.
I unzipped my backpack with ice-cold fingers.
Ты свихнулся?
I lifted the Polaroid and wiped the tears off my face with my sleeve.
Нам нужны доказательства.
The blades almost finished chewing up the bones. A torn out braid dangled from one of the steel teeth. I took aim, got the hairband with the plastic strawberry in the frame. Click. The braid fell inside the meat grinder. The giant machine stopped after letting out one last gurgle. We stumbled out of the garage. I grabbed a handful of snow and shoved it into my mouth, then chewed on the mushy substance. Romka was on his knees, wiping his face with snow. I crawled away from the mysterious meat grinder, clinging to the ice with my nails. I caught as if I was trying to expectorate the memory of what I saw. But I knew that I never forget the smell, the sound of breaking bones, and Katya's agony. Roma crawled up to me on all fours, and for a moment, I felt like he lost his sanity from horror. And now, he was going to tear into my throat, like a wild beast. Instead, he grabbed my coat, started scrubbing scarlet drops from my sleeve with snow.
Что ты делаешь?
Никто не должен узнать.
О чем ты?
Никакой милиции, слышишь? Катю по частям мы не соберем. А я не хочу сесть в тюрьму, как мой батя.
Но ты говорил...
Говорил.
He threw a hateful glare at the garage.
Я включил мясорубку.
Нечаянно.
Попробуй докажи. Им только и надо, чтобы на кого-то повесить убийство. Я за решетку пойду, а маньяк будет разгуливать на свободе. Блядь! А жизнь ведь только начала налаживаться.
Но мы не можем просто так.
Можем. Поклянись, что никому не скажешь.
He didn't say the "or else" part out loud, but his tone of voice clearly had that implication. I stayed silent for a minute. I spent it thinking about the bloody gravy that was flowing out of the machine. Roma was right. Even if Tikhonov believes us, the garage might be gone by that time. It will just magically teleport to some other clearing on the other side of this damned forest.
Пожалуйста! Кто-то должен защищать Полину!
Olya, too, I thought, while nodding slowly.
Хорошо.
I was afraid I wouldn't be able to keep my word. That Mom would read it off my face. That way she would notice the blood drops, or sense the smell. And I'll crack. I'll just fall on the floor before her and start wailing, scared for myself and my family. At that moment, I had no idea what was actually waiting for me in the place I mistakenly called home. The front door was open and swayed slightly in the wind. It felt like my skin was getting covered in rime. I clenched my fist. Sharp edges of the photo depicting Katya's remains dug into my palm. Darkness oozed into the hallway, and snowflakes floated inside along with it, landing softly on the rug, like a pack of vultures that sensed their food. I imagined 3 meat grinders in different parts of the house, and 3 members of my family getting ground by their blades. I stepped into the doorway with the utmost caution. For a moment, I thought I heard someone talking in the kitchen, but it turned out to be a radio broadcast.
Циклон, о котором мы предупреждали, движется к региону. Завтра синоптики обещают ветер с порывами до 15 метров. МЧС призвала жителей соблюдать меры предосторожности. Дороги перекрыты. Холодная воздушная масса арктического происхождения несет с собой буран.
I heard voices coming from the upper floor, too. For the first time in my life, sounds of a quarrel calmed me down. The staircase let out a long squeak. I took one step, yet my heart managed to beat 6 or 7 times in the meantime. The door to my parents' bedroom was ajar. A shadow play unfolded inside a lot spot. Black silhouettes were performing a dance of hatred. Mom hissed at Dad, her wrists flying toward the ceiling, and he towered over her, his hands crossed on his huge chest.
Мы все в опасности. И все из-за тебя. И не ври, ты видел его в поселке. Он вычислил, где мы живем.
Это был не он!
Я читала в газетах, на что способны твои дружки.
I stuffed the photo inside my pocket and walked toward my bedroom. My parents were in the middle of another quarrel where they showered each other with mutual accusations. Dad let out a low, beast-like roar.
Пусть они прекратят.
Oya stood in the corridor, pressing her little palms against her ears. I chased away the illusion where my sister was getting devoured by the blades of a meat grinder. Her face, swollen from crying, made my skin freeze, and it almost managed to push Katya's bloody image out of my mind.
Что случилось?
Они разведутся.
I hugged my sister and held her tight. My tongue refused to listen to my commands, to look for excuses. It felt like the screams were coming from every direction, right and left, up and down, splitting my head apart. Swear words rained down on us, so we covered our heads with our hands, like refugees running from a bombing.
Я хочу уйти.
В свою комнату?
Нет. Дальше. Отведи меня в Небыляндию. Ты обещал.
I carefully unglued Oya's hands from her ears and led her away from the room with our parents, which was vibrating with malice.
Из-за тебя.
Ради кого?
In moments like these, I despised them more than they despised each other. I bolted down the door to my room and leaned against it. My knees gave way.
Почему тебя не было так долго?
Я пытался помочь одной девочке.
Ты помог ей?
Не думаю.
I stood in front of the table, carefully opened one of its drawers, and threw the photo of Katya's bloody braid inside. Oya tried to take a look behind my back, but I slammed the drawer shut. And at the same time, something hit the window's ledge on the outside. Oya shuddered and shifted her gaze towards it. Bam! Another snowball smacked into the window's frame.
Ты ждешь кого-то?
I didn't reply. Instead, I let go of her wrist. Oya wept in fear. I crossed the room, wincing from every shout coming from my parents. I could hear plates getting smashed now. They must have moved their argument to the kitchen. I flung the curtains open. I flung the curtains in the window open. Hootie, Teddy, Wolfie, and most importantly, the charming Alyssa stood outside, waving at us. Oya gasped in surprise when she saw the owl girl.
Я же говорила.
Да, знаю. Я тебе всегда верил.
Кто они?
Her fearful voice also had some curiosity mixed in.
Чтобы в такую погоду дома сидеть, надо быть очень скучными детьми.
У нас столько игр неигранных.
Давайте только не во все игры играть, а то у меня лапка болит. По чуть-чуть, и потом отдохнем. Друзья! Выходите скорее играть и танцевать!
My heart started beating faster as soon as I saw Alyssa, and my inner voice practically screamed, "She's here! She's finally here!"
Они знают, как попасть в Небыляндию.
I entertained that possibility, looking at the animal kids.
Может быть, пойдем и узнаем.
The silhouettes of my forest friends promised to free us from the sadness, anger, and nightly horrors. I made sure that Oya wore warm clothes. Mom barked at Dad like a wild beast from the show with Nikolai Drozdov. We sneaked past the rumbling kitchen and into the snowfall outside. Alyssa ran up to me and hugged me tight, poking her cold nose into my neck.
Как же долго! Пока мы вас домоседов ждали, то чуть не состарились.
She pressed her body into me even harder.
Оказывается, ждать так утомительно. Фу, дайте хоть минуточку в себя прийти.
Однажды я тоже долго собиралась. А когда закончила, то и вовсе забыла куда.
Oya looked at the owl with suspicion. But she still giggled when the bird did a backflip and landed perfectly on her feet, without staggering. All the other animals, as if on cue, stopped fooling around and stared at Oya in amazement.
Это же та девочка, что не хотела со мной дружить.
Меня зовут Оля. Раньше я просто тебя боялась.
Тебя испугала наша совушка?
Может быть, у нее совофобия?
А это лечится?
Главное, чтобы ребенок не боялся веселиться. Иначе с нами можно умереть от страха.
I was stunned at the realization that my lips were slowly forming a smile. And that's after everything I saw in the garage. Every time I met Alyssa, it felt like I crossed a river, and the sound of flowing water suppressed all of my negative thoughts.
Какие у вас красивые костюмы!
The fox girl let go of me and squatted beside Oya.
О, какая очаровашка! Антоша, почему ты прятал от нас это милое создание раньше?
I glanced at the house, worried that our parents might have seen us and were about to ruin our fun like they always do. Then hugged my sister and replied,
Давайте отойдем подальше.
Запросто! Оля, а ты знаешь, как найти в нашем лесу Деда Мороза?
Grandpa Frost, a legendary figure similar to Santa Claus, hailing from Slavic mythology. He's often depicted wearing a heel-length fur coat in red or blue, a semi-round fur hat, and a pair of Russian traditional winter footwear, Valinki. His face is adorned by a long white beard, and he walks with a long magic stick. He's said to bring presents to well-behaved children on New Year's Eve. My little sister's eyes widened.
Нужно идти по сладкой тропинке.
Alyssa bit down and took a candy out of the snow. Oya raised her hands in amazement. She gave me an inquiring look. I nodded. My sister munched on the candy.
У нас что, в лесу завелся Дед Мороз? Почему? Ты мне не рассказывала.
Я рассказывала. Сегодня днем.
Но ведь днем я сплю.
Ага. Вот я и рассказывала, пока ты спала.
Alyssa dashed away, wiggling her red tail like a torch's flame. Oya went after her without thinking and laughed after taking another candy out of the snow pile.
Вы такие бодрые, на вас аж смотреть противно.
А ты давай не зевай! Лучше беги с нами к Деду Морозу, пока все подарки не разобрали.
Скажешь тоже. Скорее уж мне на голову свалится 3 кило конфет, чем я поверю в байки лисицы.
When the aforementioned sweets started raining down on the bear's head, I couldn't stop myself from laughing at him, ouching and bobbing his head up and down. Tasty treats glistened in the snow. Teddy sneezed and pulled the little bear in the north candy out of his ear.
Я бы вздремнул. полчасика. А уж потом пересчитал все эти шоколадки. У меня такое подозрение, что тут не больше килограмма.
Alyssa shouted at us from the other side of the forest.
Не в этой жизни! Давайте скорее! Дед Мороз уже заждался нас во дворце!
I shrugged and ran, running, loosening the grip of fear I felt all this time. Something round whizzed past my temple. I decided it was a snowball, but then Oya proclaimed.
Зефир!
Не подбирай, он испачкался.
Ты что, веришь в микробов?
А ты нет?
Раньше верила.
Graceful rows of colossal pines greeted us with their rustling paws. Snow drifted upward into the endless black sky, just like last time. Snow piles lighted up like melted silver.
Как же красиво! А я думала, в лесу страшно.
Нас родители пугали лесом, снегом и совой. Ну а мы с собой играли в снежной чаще под луной.
I did my best to keep track of Oya's movement, but it was a difficult task. My sister would jump inside bushes, picking up more candy, only to then get back to the trail, laughing. Hootie flew over our heads, landed on a branch, and started hooting and shaking her head. Wolfie dug into the snow with his face, dragged out a pile of bubblegum and swallowed it without taking off the wrapping.
У тебя будет несварение.
The wolf got scared and spat out the gumball.
Враки, злые собаки. Нет никаких несварений. Вся эта чушь случается только со взрослыми.
Alyssa stopped in her tracks and moved a canopy of intertwined branches to the side in a pompous manner, like you would open the curtains in theater. Behind that obstacle lay a clearing. There stood an ice castle, glistening with silver.
О, это все взаправду?
Защипнуть тебя.
Не надо ее щипать.
We stared at the sparkling miracle. Its towers and walls were made out of snow and icy marble. I heard a calming sound of ringing little bells. There was also the smell of chocolate and burnt sugar in the air.
Милости прошу к нашему шалашу.
She didn't have to invite us twice. We entered the castle, spinning around and squinting from the blinding sparkles. Grandpa Frost sat atop a shiny throne. Puffy pom-poms swung atop the two peaks of his hat. A snow-white beard covered his kind smile. He looked just like I imagined him back in the day when I still believed in Mom's fairy tales. Tall, strong, and hairy, radiating frost and warmth at the same time. And his voice, low and syrupy, enveloped me like the smoke of a festive bonfire. Oops. What do you... Stop!
Антон и Ольга. Ох, и намучились же вы, ребятки, пока сюда добирались.
Что ты, дедушка? Мы быстро дошли.
My sister spoke with the castle's master like she never spoke with adults, in a lively, carefree manner, as if they were the same age.
Знаю, все знаю. Мне мои друзья докладывают.
You look, I bet you're the goat. I bet your ass is the goat. Jesus, this episode's fucked up. Oh my god. Oh my god. I have a lot of friends. Well, no, what am I doing? I'm trying to get the image of that craziness. Like I said, if you're watching this and you're a kid, you should not be watching this at all. Period. I'm blurring that shit out, by the way.
Кто был покладистым весь год, того подарок утром ждет. А кто ленился и грустил, пускай он дедушку простит. Лентяем и грустяем конфет не запасаем.
И о том знаю.
He gave us a long, evaluating look. His real face was hidden under Grandpa Frost's mask. I was just standing there, unblinking, my gaze glued to the old man. I could accept children living in the forest and fantastical jumps toward the moon, but seeing Grandpa Frost in his frozen castle left me completely speechless.
Есть у меня для вас кое-что особенное.
A sack appeared in his giant hand. My nostrils got attacked by the aroma of coca, halva, and tangerines.
Спасибо, но мы уже ели конфеты.
Grandpa Frost pierced me with his eyes.
Разве то конфеты были? Так, одно название. Вот у меня конфеты волшебные, прямиком из Небыляндии привезенные.
Из Небыляндии?
Сразу бы вам их дал, заслужили. Но есть правила. Надобно вам 3 дедушкины загадки отгадать. Попробуйте.
Bro, you're scaring the shit out of me, and I already know that you're probably the fucking goat. I tried splitting my parched lips apart, but Oya was the first to reply.
Тогда слушайте первую. В нем живут машины и хранятся шины.
I looked around at the masked children. They stood without moving in the corners, but their shadows danced in the walls. I heard a low hum, and in my confusion I thought it was the sound of their rumbling stomachs.
Гараж!
Верно. Теперь вторая загадка. Подключайся, Антон. Весь день ходит, как тень, посудой гремит, на всех шипит.
My eyebrows shot up in confusion.
Мама?
Oya raised her hand.
Можно я? Можно я? Это кошка!
Верно! Хо-хо. Осталась последняя загадка, и подарки ваши. Только вот незадача, ребятушки. Запамятовал я, о чем же была эта загадка. А может, наши друзья-зверята нам подскажут?
Children in costumes surrounded us, laughing and stomping, only to start spinning in a crazed roundelay that somewhat reminded me of the dance under my window on that fateful night.
Мешок!
Убедили старика. Получайте.
He scattered a mountain of sweets from his scarlet sack, some of which I had never seen in the commercials before. Bubblegum of all shapes and colors with tasty aromas and inserts sticking out. Lollipops the size of a fist and tangerines the size of Oya's head. And also Snickers, Mars, Bounty Bars, and Kinder Surprise eggs that we haven't eaten for so long already.
Ой, спасибо!
I wiped away the tears of joy with my sleeve when my inner voice persuaded me to get rid of all doubts. This is exactly what I wanted for my sister and myself. The true Neverland, without bullying and taboos. We're finally going to be happy. I doubt that shit. Oh, Grandpa Frost straightened up as he left his throne and threw his hands in the air over the treats. Oh! Animals that stood to his sides also raised their paws. Their eyes sparkled brighter than precious gems. The wolf's maw was wet with saliva.
Да будет пир на весь мир!
Animal kids rushed to devour candy one by one, pushing each other and growling. Their faces were smeared with something dark. Oya grabbed the closest candy and tore off the wrapper. When I saw that, I felt a pendulum swing inside me. Oh my god. What do I do? Jesus Christ. Oh my god, let me save this. Oh my god. It's what you wanted, but you can refuse, dude. Fuck. Oh my god, what do I do? Because these motherfuckers are scary, dude. Like, I don't know what to do. I mean, we accept the candy, we get, I know for a fact it's going to end worse. Well, regardless. And if we refuse, he might turn into the goat guy, which I know for a fact he's going to turn into the goat guy. I don't know what to do. I really don't. Oh my god. Jesus Christ. Alright, I'm not going to look. God, here we go again. Did I refuse? I gripped Oya's wrist so hard that she squeaked either from pain or from surprise.
Yes.
Cautious whispers spread through the room. Ears twitched on the masks. Shadows slid from one place to another.
Что такое? Что случилось?
Ничего страшного. Просто Тоша верит в несуществующий диабет.
Расказни родителей. Разбудите меня, когда он перестанет валять дурака.
Grandpa Frost leaned into me. He smelled of caramel and just a tiny bit of dampness.
Давайте не будем портить праздник, друзья. Сегодня каждый должен веселиться. Ешьте и пляшите!
Oya tried to pull her hand away, but I kept it in my clutches. I looked at the sweets, then at the tall old man, and tried to focus on a barely discernible stench coming from him. The stench of rot and decay, masked with a sugary aroma. The foul smell of a beast. It felt like I was finally able to shrug off some strong delusion. Fear, exhaustion, and coldness returned to me.
Спасибо, но мы сыты. И мы пойдем, наверное. Мама с папой переживают уже.
I dragged my sister toward the exit, but Alyssa stood in our path. She had a china platter in her hands. For a brief moment, I imagined maggots crawling inside of it. But as soon as my eyes darted toward the offering, I saw gummy worms instead of a vomit-inducing writhing ball of living ones.
Прошу, Антон. Мы же друзья, правда? Мы даже больше, чем друзья. Вспомни, что я обещала. Никто не причинит тебе зла, пока я рядом. Ни тебе, ни Оле. Так что съешь, пожалуйста, всего одну. Съешь, а?
Антон, пусти! Ну пусти! Теперь и ты все мне запрещаешь, прям как мама!
Oya convulsed hysterically, trying to free herself from my clutches.
Это неправильно. Все здесь какое-то неправильное.
Вот как? А ты не задумывался, что из неправильного тут только твое мировоззрение? Как ты думаешь, что делают те таблетки, которые ты глотаешь круглые сутки, м? Они искажают реальность, путают мысли, уводят тебя со снежной тропинки.
I looked at Alyssa with suspicion, searching for a comeback, but I couldn't find one. I remembered Vova's bloody mitten and Simeon's severed finger inside a small plastic bag. All of that was just an illusion.
Кто вы?
А на кого мы похожи?
Like nightmares that ravaged my sick mind.
С нами вас никто больше не накажет, не запрет в комнате, не бросит в одиночестве. Отныне никто не заставит вас делать то, что вам не хочется.
Откуда вы знаете, чего нам не хочется?
The old man rubbed Wolfie, who was munching loudly behind the ear.
Я знаю. Мне шепчут ветра и тени, холодные звезды и безграничные небеса. Они говорят, что дети не хотят взрослеть, превращаться в тех, кто живет запретами, угрозами, наказаниями.
His voice grew louder and louder with every word.
Ожиданием старости и смерти. Дети живут мечтами. О, я отлично знаю детские мечты о счастливой и беззаботной жизни. Той, в которой есть чудеса и дикая свобода.
His voice rang like thunder. It made all hair on my head stand on end.
Все это будет вашим. Стоит только захотеть. Стоит только попросить.
And then he whispered,
Стоит только согласиться.
Согласиться.
"Shit!" Oya repeated after him like an echo, as if enchanted.
Да, моя дорогая, вкусить это.
The old man pointed toward the fox girl.
Я прошу тебя, ради всех нас, ради меня, ради сестры. Зайчик, отведай хотя бы кусочек.
What the fuck?
И тогда ты все поймешь.
I felt like chills. I felt like chilling winds blew from the cavities of her eyes, from the dark holes of the other beast, and the towering old man's too. The owl's face twitched nervously. The wolf's maw dripped with saliva. The bear shuffled his feet, any trace of sleepiness gone from his face. And from behind us towered the one who pretended to be Grandpa Frost all this time.
Я сказал, мы уходим.
I gripped my sister's hands even tighter. Candy slipped out of her fingers and smacked against the floor. Oya started looking around, frightened.
Я сказал, мы уходим.
Alyssa parroted me. Despite everything, I felt immense anger.
Ох, ну какой же ты все-таки дурачок.
I heard the flute's melody, but now it reminded me of a cracking whip or even agonized convulsions of a fish that was thrown out to the ice. Music dangled about, striking at my ears. And then the crystal castle was filled with cries of children that slowly turned into beastly howls, intermingled with the sounds of crunching bones and ripping skin. The china platter filled to the brim with maggots, smashed into tiny pieces. Alyssa's orange fur coat ripped at the seams, letting out a cloud of foul-smelling fog. Her twisted face bared its teeth, and the stench attacked my nostrils again. The fox screamed, blood streaming down her cheeks like tears, making her fur stickery. Her bone-necked tail whipped against the walls with its vertebrae. I shielded my crying sister. Horror drilled into my stomach, rushing through my guts and rose up to my throat. I felt the urge to tear off my glasses and lose sight. I wanted to squeeze my eyes out and go blind forever. I turned to face the owl and my face contorted from disgust. Worms wriggled inside her masked feathers. Her rotten beak snapped like garden scissors. I staggered back and barely avoided bumping into the wolf. His face was stretched out, his bones crunched. Teeth poked out of his festering gums like shards of broken glass, and his swollen tongue kept on tirelessly licking them. At the edge of my vision, I saw the bear block our passage. Every inch of his body oozed scarlet ichor. Larvae clogged his teary eyes. I pulled the shocked Oya close, looking for the exit in panic. My foot ended up in the pile of sweets, but those were no longer candy. Human remains blanketed the floor. Ribs with shreds of meat on them and torn out jaws. A tooth necklace and moss-covered pelvic bones. Tiny skulls and scalps swimming in a sea of blood. The horned monstrosity towered over me, clutching a bone flute in its long, clawed fingers. A giant goat that shed his kind old man form. Completely black, emanating hatred and malice, he scorched me with red-hot coals inside his eye cavity. His horns scraped against the ceiling. We gotta get the fuck out of here. Ice cracked and thawed, dripping down, forming muddy pools of water, bearing metal walls that were hidden underneath it. I realized that we were doomed inside this cramped womb of a dungeon, surrounded by howling beasts. All I could do was hug my sister even tighter and watch how the soaker around us shrank, how ugly paws reached out to us from behind the veil of a bloody fog.
Я вырву их глазные яблоки и трахну их сочащиеся раны.
The growling wolf's maw snapped like a bear trap, splattering thick white foam towards us. But he was immediately pushed away by a rotting bear carcass.
Живем добился слушайте сраный гундёж. Я живьем сорву кожу с этой грёбаной козявки прямо на глазах ее братца. Я заставлю его съесть собственную сестру, накормленным досыта ее потрохами. Пожалуйста, хозяин.
It felt like his face was about to tear apart, crack like an eggshell, letting out something even more sinister, nasty, and scary. Gnarly owl claws grabbed at the grinning bear, stopping him from getting close. The cackling zoo formed a furball that started rolling in guts and thawed fat. They howled, fought with each other, tore out scraps of fur and feathers, ready to rip each other apart like a pack of hungry dogs fighting for leftovers. A sudden squeal of the flute pulled them apart as if someone tugged at their leashes. The master of this pack charmed the monsters with his soul-rending music, turning them into unmoving, silent marionettes that faithfully awaited his commands. The goat stopped nibbling on his shin bone flute. Its devilish melody that sounded like a chorus of children being run over by a steamroller went silent for one last time. A chunk of raw human flesh plopped beside my shaking feet. Consumed by fear, I turned toward Oya. She lay by the wayside, covered in pink snow. Just like Sleeping Beauty in the cartoon, she fainted. She probably lost consciousness from this soul-rending spectacle. I wanted to wail, to go mad, to die quickly and painlessly, right there and now. But alas, I couldn't. I was still inside this torture chamber, choosing between a gruesome end inside the monster's stomachs and cannibalism. Woolen meat grinders kept on staring at me with their greedy, infinitely hungry eyes, ready to gnaw at my bones before eventually eating them if I dared refuse their master's offer. But if I was to agree, I'm sure I would lose my free will, just like them. I'll turn into a perpetually hungry monster that dances to the tune of a bloodthirsty madman. And I'll surely lead Oya and all those who I hold dear to their deaths. My lips trembled. A feeling of nausea turned my stomach inside out, but somehow I found the strength to scream.
Никогда и ни за что! Я человек!
Those words could be later used as my epitaph, but I knew that my remains were destined to never be found. My surroundings went dead silent. The horned shadow consumed us. Alyssa rushed to the goat and stood between us, ridiculously tiny compared to the giant monster. Her tail dragged after her, leaving behind a scarlet trail. Fleas jumped around her back and the bones sticking out of it.
Подожди. Не спеши так. Не стоит. Зайчик нам еще пригодится. Зайчик нас покормит вкусненько. Для медведя и лисы. Зайчик кушать принеси.
Flames inside his eye sockets stopped trembling. Steel dolls bared their teeth in anger.
Разве это зайчик? Разорвать и сожрать! Самозванец! Кожаный мешок стребувай! Заткнитесь, пустомели! Разве вы не чуете? Разве вы не помните? Когда он чуть не укусил луну на снежной поляне.
The cannibals went silent, swallowing saliva in disappointment. Alyssa, in the meantime, took a sharp turn and returned to the form of a cute child with a fox mask on that night I met her for the first time one January morning. She glided toward me, dissolving the horrors around us with the smell of tangerines, firecrackers, and magic. Her soft paws touched my cheeks, removed a sticky strand of hair from my forehead. Alyssa embraced me and whispered in a sweet voice.
Тоша, ты хочешь спастись?
I stayed silent, gritting my teeth. I was afraid to look away, afraid that this fleeting illusion could get shattered.
Мой милый, скажи, ты хочешь спасти свою сестру?
Tears sprayed from my eyes as I wept.
Да!
I continued to sniffle and shake, grabbing at the hem of the fox girl's long coat.
Скажи громче, чтобы все слышали.
Delirious from sorrow, I screamed, my face awash with tears.
Да!
My mouth was immediately filled with the metallic aftertaste of blood. The fox's black fingers kept pushing a chunk of human flesh deeper down my throat. I fell to my knees, coughing up blood, unable to vomit it out. Rotting carcasses of animals surrounded me once again. Boiling anger swallowed up my mind. Something formative, something foreign and primitive burst forth, pounced from inside of me.
Только попробуй, и я вырву твой поганый язык и засуну глубоко в клаку, ты безмозглая курица!
The ominous owl jumped away in surprise, accompanied by the fox's cackling. My voice went out, and then I bent in half. Vomit poured out of my mouth, along with part of the treat that I wasn't able to regurgitate. His finger poked me. I felt like a knife was lodged handle deep into my solar plexus. Alyssa silently stepped into the shadows, and the goat put his foul-smelling maw right into my face and roared. He knocked his hoof against the floor, and I ran for my life, forgetting about everything else. Shards of ice fell on my shoulders, dead rodents frozen inside of them. I managed to break free to the place where pines moved their branches and showered me with snow, like cooks sprinkling salt on porridge. The wind tore at my hair. I turned around and froze over. The garage was disappearing in front of me, dissolving in layers, becoming dim and then transparent before a gust of wind finally swept away the phantom of black walls. Only then I realized that I let go of my sister a long time ago, and she was left behind in the monster's den. There was only a giant snow pile left in place of the castle. A girl's wrist poked out of it, like a cross would poke out of a burial mound. Terrified, I rushed over to the snow pile and started digging. Oya's pale face, along with one of her shoulders, appeared from under the white mass. Her bluish lips trembled. She's alive.
Я сейчас!
My throat went dry when I remembered that I shouted these same words to Katya before. I continued digging and prayed for her to hang on. At some point, I was able to see her stomach. Her voice was faint.
Ничего. Отнесу тебя домой, согрею, шоколадом напою. Ты только не засыпай, слышишь? Ты только...
My fingers came across something sticky and hot. I cleared out more snow. It turned red and mushy. No, 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 no! They took a piece of her! I gulped. How could I tell her? Oh my god! Oya's body didn't exist below the stomach. Rings of guts fell out from the wound. Oya tilted her head and stared at the horrifying scraps, then let out a deafening scream. Oh my god. And this is why you don't take candy from strangers. I cannot stress this enough. This episode probably stressed me out more than anything else. I did go back and complete one of those because I wanted to see the other ending because I was very dissatisfied about that other ending. And once again, if you're watching this, you better be a freaking adult for this episode because this is not a kid's story. This is not even remotely to that point. However, I definitely enjoyed the story. There was some things that were like kind of like prattling along and stuff like that. You know, it was getting really, really meh. But once it kind of caught up to like the certain scenes that I wanted to see, like that's when it started picking up and things started adding up a little bit more. But it's actually freaking horrific that this happened. All these beloved characters that you really love, like, holy cow, man. And everything's tied together. It's even way worse than it is. Like, from the moment you take that piece of candy, you're already wrapped up in their game. Like, you already accepted the first offering, then they give you another offering, and then you keep going with it and stuff like that. And then, like, they slowly start possessing you and taking you over. So it's exactly what it seems. I didn't trust them from the beginning. I thought the stranger that you see throughout the episodes was the actual killer, but no. These eldritch fucking horrors, like, they're absolutely what they are. They're absolutely what they are, dude. They're not remotely cute whatsoever. And, like, it was absolutely shocking to find out. And how, like at the beginning I was like, all right, with Alyssa, you know, Paulina is nobody, all stuff like that. But, like, damn, dude. That is absolutely wild. Absolutely wild. And, like, looks like they have to give up an offering. Is this dude going mad, or is this dude going mad, or is this actually happening? Like, kids are disappearing, like, legit. Because the first kid disappeared way before Anton showed up. And like these creatures are already out here. If they're actually part of this story, like, these creatures were already here, dude. Like, they were already, like, all over the kidnapping kids and all this stuff like that. And, like, that's absolutely, like, terrifying, dude. Like you can't get over that kind of ending. And it's actually quite sad and heartbreaking, because that's one of those things, man, like, you don't seem to notice. And, like, I was hoping it'd be more set. I was hoping it would be like, in my mind, I was hoping they asked for an offering. I'm just like, okay, then maybe I can lure the killer to come down and deal with them, and they can take his body, and then that'll be it. But now he's just stuck in this perpetual cycle, or maybe he's, like, really hallucinating, like, for real hallucinating. But now I'm just like, I don't know. I just don't know right now. And Biasha, seeing as how the animals in the garage are both connected, like, and they were trying to figure out why is it able to disappear so much. The kids noticed it too, so now it's just like, Biasha, he saw what was inside the garage. He saw what he saw inside the garage. Like, he saw it. And, like, he saw kids getting eaten and stuff like that, which is why he's absolutely terrified, because he knows what it is. And whatever scared him, whatever he saw what scared him, he took off. I don't think it was the garage. I think it was something else. And Ramka, I think Ramka didn't know what was going on. Like, as soon as he stepped up there and he tried to rescue her, the beasts or whatever had to turn on the grinder. All right, they had to have turned on the grinder, dude. Jesus fuck, man. But I hope you like this episode. I know, like, most of you are going to be probably pissed off about this ending, maybe, possibly. But nothing good came from it, actually. They did give it a viewer discretion as advised warning. And I'm probably going to stick with that ending just to see what happens. But Holy shit, man. I'm tired of starting over too. But looks like there's like one more episode. Jesus Christ, man. Fuck. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Please hit that like and subscribe button if you enjoyed this. Probably may not. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. I may have to blur that out because that's pretty fucking graphic. Like, fucking graphic. That death was pretty fucking graphic. I'm probably going to have to go back, edit it, and block that out. Take care, and God bless. Ciao.